Those that didn't die physically, they died mentally. They died spiritually. The game is real, the stakes are high. We cannot afford to lose another generation of our young men and women to this drug culture lifestyle.
Youth are dying and being incarcerated at disproportionate numbers. Parents and caregivers are experiencing pain, grief, and trauma from their children dying in the streets of every major city across our nation. Youth are killing for street turf, drugs, money, dirty looks, and more often than usual, miscommunication. What is in store for the next generation? More prisons, more graveyards, martial law, less access to healthy communities, chemical dependency, or will it be a loss of self-worth and dignity? This documentary will focus on the educational system, racism, hip-hop and the music industry, parental involvement, and most importantly, solutions and resource-driven strategies. This film was produced in hopes to help youth understand the consequences of living and making unhealthy life choices.
Well, first, dealing with the youth are, in society, youth are most susceptible to everything that's bad because they're young, their minds are open, and they always want to try things. And when you give them an atmosphere where they're not pushed to go to school or they're not in school, and there's a lot of things out there for them, they're willing to try different things. And with drugs being as prevalent as it is, especially in the city of Detroit, it's easy to get caught up in the drug situation. And with drugs comes a lot of money for selling drugs, dealing with drugs, the behavior behind drugs, and that all comes out into violence, whether it be those who sell drugs killing each other for turf, or whether it be those stealing and committing crimes to get drugs. It's about 70% of all the crime that occurs encompasses drugs, and it all starts with the youth.
What do you think the main reason young people are selling drugs?
It's the fucking recession.
The big drug problem in our neighborhoods. What do you think should be done about that?
Nothing.
You don't think nothing?
The drug dealers?
Yeah, the drug dealers.
Nothing, because Detroit not giving them jobs. They're not giving them a chance to get a job, so that's why most of the boys hustle. Females starting to hustle too.
Is genocide. Now, within the framework of genocide, there is infanticide, the role that we play within our own genocide. Brothers are selling drugs for money. Period. Brothers don't start selling drugs because I want to be evil. I want to turn the girl around the corner into a prostitute. I want to tear up the community. That's not why they're doing it in its initial state. They're doing it for survival. Now, I want to say, though, at the same time, we as a community have to say no. Being poor and being black and being oppressed is no excuse for selling dope. We've been poor and black and oppressed ever since almost the beginning of the black-white dynamic.
That they got into some stuff and they record messed up, so they can't get a job. So now they know their record messed up. Jobs don't hire you if you don't have a high school diploma and you got something on your record, you're a felony. You got a felony.
In September 2009, teen unemployment rate hit 25.9%, the highest rate since World War II. The newly mandated increase of minimum wage accounted for the loss of 330,000 teen jobs. The hardest hit were black male teens, whose unemployment rate shot up to a catastrophic 50.4%. In 2009, Congress has spent billions of dollars including $1.5 billion in the stimulus bill on summer youth employment and programs and job training. Yet the jobless numbers suggest that the minimum wage destroyed far more jobs than the government programs helped to create.
In the environment where that's all they feel that they know.
That promotes us to do good, and we do good, and we get, you know, screwed over by life. And we like the good people get bad things, but the bad people prosper. You like, what's the point?
What do you mean by getting screwed over by life?
Like, you say do right, don't smoke, don't drink, don't sell weed, don't do nothing like that. And we stay on the right track, go to school. Okay, we get some kind of education that some teachers do care or whatever. But then next thing you know, mama get laid off, your house going to foreclosure, your sister need this, or your little brother need diapers. And you like, what can I do? I can't sell drugs. They say don't sell drugs, but what can I do? I'm going to try to go get a job. They don't hire black people. So what can you turn to? What do you do then? But you see the dope dealer, with this nice car. All his 5 or 6 kids and baby mamas eating good, got different kind of cars. They live in 3 different houses. And what is the message then?
We also seeing a higher rate of black female teens getting caught up into, especially with the marijuana, getting caught into the drug scene nowadays, prostitution, and those things. But when we look at statistics in the outer communities, suburbs, and all over the country, it's not just happening in African American and the urban areas, it's happening everywhere, especially with that drug culture and the feeling with marijuana being just so prevalent and so common that everyone starts with that, and that's usually where it goes downhill.
The war on drugs in America was often a war on minority youth. We lost thousands of young men and women to the drug culture lifestyle. We must educate our youth about the negative consequences of the drug culture.
I've seen a drug come in and it was like a big white snowball, rolled right through Detroit. And every enforcement strategy that was formed in the law enforcement was targeted toward the drug dealers.
The drug war has never been focused on rooting out drug kingpins or violent offenders. What gets rewarded in this war is numbers of drug arrests. Of the 1,846,351 arrests for drug law violations in 2005, 82% were for possessions of a controlled substance, and only 18% were for the sale or manufacture of a drug. To make matters worse, federal drug forfeiture laws allow state and local law enforcement agencies to keep for their own use 80% of the cash, cars, and homes seized from drug suspects, thus granting law enforcement a direct monetary interest in the profitability of the drug market. Clinton's tough-on-crime policies resulted in the largest increase in federal and state prison inmates of any president in American history. But Clinton was not satisfied with exploding prison populations. He and the New Democrats championed legislation banning drug felons from public housing, no matter how minor the offense, and denying them basic public benefits, including food stamps, for life. This systematically designed process was also used to deny convicted drug offenders the right to vote, excluded from juries and denied employment, access to federal aid for education and housing, much like our forefathers and mothers during slavery.
all over the world, but every country that has in conflict has some particular drug that they market to the United States.
When I was in the military, what I did for the United States government is that I helped to get rid of the marijuana that the United States government was growing, studying the effects it would have on a soldier during a time of war. So how do you explain that? And just coming back, I was just in Switzerland, and over in Switzerland, you got a place where drugs are legal over there. Same thing in Amsterdam. Same thing in Australia. Wow. And then, which is worse? Alcohol or drugs? And then you have legal drugs, and then you have illegal drugs. Once again, that circle, it never stops.
Well, this is a scrimmage. This is nothing but a scrimmage. And, when you have a war, the war has to be done through diplomacy first.
Over it, we say it, but we skim over the fact that we do not control the pipeline of drugs into our community. We don't control the pipeline of all these weapons that we say we need to get off the streets. We don't control these things. And we haven't, therefore, channeled our energies to figuring out how to stop the flow. How can we stop guns from crime? Let's put the pressure on the gun companies. How the government become, they want to regulate everything, let them regulate that, So, the only thing to get regulated is us.
I'd rather work rather than sell drugs. It's fast money, but the consequences is long.
You know, my years as a police officer, you know, I was in narcotics. The family, the selling, marketing, production of narcotics in Detroit, I've seen first, second, third generations actually go to jail. I've actually had to, it was just crazy to lock up the mother, and then you see the mother go to jail. The kids, they become 18, 17, 18. You send the kids to jail, and then later on, I mean, I don't send them, but you see another crew of policemen send the kids to jail. And I think that had something to do because there was no role model, there's nothing positive going on in the house. And I think that's something that has happened in Detroit.
A people who are high, a people who are drunk, a people who are poorly educated, a people who live in an impoverished area, violent area, are set up for the slaughter and cannot compete with the rulers of this planet being set up for the slaughter.
You say no to drugs in Detroit, but what do you say yes to in the morning? We've been killing each other in Detroit since 1967. I mean, 200, 300. One year, we almost killed 600 people in this town. And I think there's a culture of aggression.
It's a lot of soldiers out here that fight in a war that they don't have a cause for. You know what I'm saying? He's willing to die right now for his chain. He's willing to die for them Cartiers in his face. You're not finna take these Cartiers off his face. He's gonna shoot you. That's what the boy said in his rap.
You know, no one negotiates anymore. It's that, you know, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna blow you away. You know, and we have to counter that. We have to counter it, and it goes deeper than playing basketball, to after-school program. It goes to the number one thing, and that's parenting. Parents have to parent kids.
The family structure is broke down. The school system has been broke down. The community has been broke down, and it's kind of like compared to a jungle where you have a lion and his cub. And the cub gets away from the lioness. The cub's gonna find it. He or she's gonna figure it out. It's just the natural instinct. So that's what basically our youth have been reduced to surviving off instincts.
You know, the young guys right now, they taking care. The reason that a lot of young guys claim 7 Mile and claim Linwood and claim their neighborhoods is because outside of us, our culture is a lot of gang culture. You got the Crips and the Bloods from LA. You got Vice Lords, GDs, whatever from Chicago. But we come up in a family-orientated environment where the old dudes, the OG dudes who I looked up to was from 7 Mile. And when you asked them where was they from, they didn't say I'm from Detroit, because we all from Detroit. They said I'm from 7 Mile. When you asked them OG dudes over there off Joy Road, where you from, they said I'm from Joy Road. So it's an attachment to your neighborhood, and a lot of cats, when we used to be incarcerated, used to say, well, you don't own nothing on 7 Mile, brother, and you ain't got no, well, no, I don't care. It's about the people from here, though. It's about people that's done died from over here. It's about people that's got 20 and 40 years from over here, whether they was right or wrong. That's our family. That's our street family. That's the family away from home for a lot of people who didn't have a family at home.
We claim streets because that's like our gang, and that gang is like your family. So in a sense, if somebody you ain't got no brother, nobody to look out for you, your gang members will. Your little homies, your little crew, they look out for you. You sleep at their house, they feed you, whatever. They got your back. So I think that's a sense of security.
I mean, that mentality is actually nothing but a reflection of a kinship, of being a nation, of being a collective of people. However, it morphs into a 7 Mile Dog. It morphs into a Zone 8 because, again, we lack the right leadership, the proper leadership to nurture these young men and young women to want to propel themselves to be leaders in the communities. And actually, they are being leaders in the community, but the behavior is anti-community. So a Zone 8 is no different than a Democratic Party. 7 Mile Dog is no different than the Republican Party, but the difference is based upon the behavior, which is more than likely influenced by the information.
I think they're taking it too far when they want to shoot somebody over a neighborhood because it's about pride. It's not about, it's like football to me. If If I play for the Detroit Lions, I want to see the Detroit Lions win, but I'm not going to try to kill all the players from the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what I'm saying? I root for my team. You root for your team. You root for where you from, but you ain't gotta go so hard as to try to prove it to somebody. I don't gotta prove to nobody that I'm from Selma.
You know, people call Riverside, Mega, da-da-da. You know, they got them guap and all that stuff in there. You
The
know,
what?
Guap.
What's guap?
Groups inside of groups.
Okay.
So you got them, and guap girls, and da-da-da, and then you have another one come around 7 Mile or something, or 7 Mile, da-da-da, fighting over that. Like, what's the purpose of it?
So they're fighting over the neighborhood that they're from?
And that's the main thing around here.
Is what?
Neighborhood fighting. Well, I rap 7 Mile, her, she rap Mac Ave. We don't like y'all. We gonna fight y'all. That's how it is. And you gotta ask yourself, it could be 3 years from now, where you gonna be at? Is you still gonna be on the street? Is you gonna move to something else? Now, what will you lose your life over it? Then what? You still gonna go out here claiming it? You gotta ask yourself questions. Where you gonna be from 3 to 4 years from now?
Young people are so angry and violent these days towards each other because they're tired of seeing the same thing happening, no change. And everything, they feel like everybody is against them. And if you feel cornered in 4 ways of negativity, you just gonna feel like you want to lash out at something. And the closest thing to you is the closest thing that get at, basically, in my opinion.
One of the things that I think that's important that we do is reaching out to the youth is very critical. You know, the young people are the ones that we're blaming for most of the crime that we experience. But the young people, they need identity, purpose, and direction, simply put. And if they don't get it from adults, they won't get it. They're gonna, it's gonna be the blind leading the blind, because they're raised by their peers. You know, the one who has the most influence, the most gifted gab, the most articulate is the one who's going to be the leader, and he doesn't know much. So, we leaving them out there to raise themselves. It's abandonment and neglect, and they're growing up like wildflowers. But it's our responsibility as adults to reach out to these young people, to interact with these young people, to intervene into their development.
What really needs to be done, we need to stop talking. I'm tired of meetings. I'm tired of people talking, and while people are dying, people that's dying could be saved. And it's just simple. It's something I've instituted in my neighborhood, which I annually school giveaway. Give away free school supplies. And these things. The first year, it was, people wonder like, man, what you doing this for? The second year, people coming like, I really appreciate what you're doing for the youth. I mean, these things that people did all the time. You're showing love, you're showing initiative, and there's no strings attached to it. And if you show somebody that you care, that reinforces them enough to start caring about themselves, caring about if somebody see me going to the store buying a blunt wrap and don't say nothing to me, indirectly saying it's okay.
I would have to say that it's all of that. It's young people trying to find themselves, living in a world that is just kind of crazy as hell right now. You look at what's happening with the economy, and we got several wars that's going on, and the real war is right here. It's right here in the city.
As part of youth violence would be just a waste of life, a waste of life. Anytime you dying that young for those type of reasons of, over drugs and whatnot, a lot of these kids are intelligent kids, could have been a lot of things in life, and they just have a wasted life. They leave behind their parents and families to grieve, and they're gone, and then somebody else's life, because somebody's going to jail, their life and their family's destroyed. So it's just every aspect about it is bad.
One thing I learned how to do when I was a kid, I learned how to lose. We played checkers, we played games, and the games teach you how to interact. Our kids will interact. You know what they interact with? Computers, which is nothing wrong. They interact with electric devices, but they don't talk to each other. And I think that's something that we have to try to get them back together, is to get them in a groove. If you look, you notice when they talk, everything is coded. We would get them to start talking to each other so we can learn how to take and form a complete sentence. And that's important as you develop into a person.
And we have to engage young folks where they're at to get them up to where we want them to be. We can't come out and with this book and say, you're supposed to be here already. It's not going to happen. Even for ourselves, it's a process to it.
Where it was a kid who ran away from home, got into it with his parents, and he hooked up a few blocks away from his home, and they set him up in a vacant house and gave him a sack of dope, a little .25 pistol, and he was in charge of the vacant house. And he had prostitutes coming in, and he felt like he was somebody. He was in charge of the whole little dope house. And a few days later, the 2 other older teenagers who set him up came back to the house, and he was short on his money. They ended up shooting him in the head twice. They took him into the basement and set him on fire, wrapped him in plastic, and left him there. And then when we raided the house a couple of weeks later, you could smell the dead body in the house. And the 2 teens who did it, they both received 40 to 60 years in prison. The deceased, of course, his family was devastated. He was a good kid, a good student, came from a good family.
We blowing money fast on this side, nigga. Catch up, nigga, catch up, nigga. I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover, whipping work. Hallelujah. One nation.
Say something. Let me say one thing. Let me answer this question. You said rappers rapping about they used to be in the drug game and now they got millions. We got a joke, me and my brother, and we say this. Ain't nobody in the rap game had 40 birds and been distributing those 40 birds to people in the community, right? And then said today, you know what, forget this, dog, I'm rapping. Because I still need my 10 birds. My people still gotta eat. So you either gotta come off that plug or get plugged. So and then what you rapping about, what we was just doing? Is you crazy? That don't happen. The bag man is not rapping about the bag. He don't do it. But it's always been here. You've had guys been rapping about drugs. It became a fad now.
And what's the fad?
The fad is everybody got bricks and bows, but ain't nobody really seen bricks and bows. Because if you seen some bricks, please get away from me right now. I don't even want to talk to you right now, please.
Everyone is influenced every day by what they see on TV and they read in the paper. Everyone wants what they call the bling, or some bling. You know, the fur, you know, the glitter, you know, the car. And that's status symbol.
Say Gucci Man rapping about you gotta do this to get this money, you gotta sell this drug, you know, and then the kids rapping about it, they gonna be like, oh, I gotta do this to get some money. They see them in the Lambos, Ferraris, the nice houses on cribs and stuff. They want that too. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room want to be rich.
It's unhealthy to be poor in America.
The music industry and the rappers have accountability to the community, but again, it's hard to be accountable to something that you really have no real relationship to. I mean, your only relationship is to materialistic things. So if your relationship is based upon a materialistic thing, then you allowed yourself to be reduced to being nothing but a prostitute, basically. You know, you're willing to sell your soul for money, for gold, for cars, at the expense of destroying your community. So, you know, you take a Sean Puffy Combs, for example. You know, I don't even know, he's so far removed from a hood that it don't even make sense. But he's quick to get on TV at some point and say, I'm from Brooklyn, or I'm from wherever, some hood. But so what you're saying is you're okaying that death style. And what you're doing, you're misleading our youth to saying it's okay for you to be a gangster. It's okay for you to be the hood. But when they turn around and they rob you, because they want what you have, but they don't know how to go about getting the right way, but the wrong way, then you're upset. But so we have the rappers and the music business and entertainment have a great responsibility to the community. But more importantly, right now they've been miseducated to be obligated to chase the materialistic things in the world. So in chasing on materialistic things, the community becomes expendable. Snoop says it loudly and proudly. I made 2 albums. I make one for the general public, and I make one for my kids to listen to. My kids do not listen to the one I made for my general I made for the general public. Nelly have stated it, went on record and stated it, and many other rappers stated. So we're intelligent enough to dissect what they've just said. Is really like I will make a song talking about pimps, prostitutes, and things that being a gangster and selling drugs, and I'll sell it to your kids, but I won't sell it to my kids. I mean that is crazy. You know, my kids should be just as valuable as your kids. But again, he has no real relationship to the community that he supposedly represents.
It is what a lot of people experience, a lot of people sing. Unfortunately, too many young people gravitate towards it, but they gravitate towards it because that's what they're exposed to. That's what the radios play, and they won't play Dead Prayers. They won't, you know, Dead Prayers can put a spin on anybody's song and make it sound better, and it means something. Well, they don't want to play that. It's like cutting themselves off at the knees. And so, you know, rappers just follow the formula that the corporate, you know, music industry, you know what I'm saying, allows them. It's unfortunate because they become super successful and they become, like you say, by default role models for these young people. And young people look to them as guidance because the knowledge that they provide is, you know, is perverted. You know what I'm saying? It has no reflection on, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't teach us how to save ourselves. What it does is it perpetuates a fantasy lifestyle, perpetuates a fantasy approach to resolving your problems, you know, in terms of like violence or if you poor, sell drugs or rob or jack somebody. And, you know, it projects, you know what I'm saying, some very negative messages. And I wish that, you know what I'm saying, rappers would do different. I don't expect them to do any different because they're not in control of it. As soon as the artists, you know what I'm saying, decide to change, you know what I'm saying, what they're going to do, they're going to get booted off the label. Simple as that. And they're going to bring somebody in to project the message that the record label is coming.
You know, I'm thinking about, you know, we're up on the anniversary of 9/11, and when that happened, you know, you had Dre, you had numerous rappers, you know, step up to the plate and donated money. Where you at donating on the Crip situation? Where you donate on the blood situation where these people, you know, the deaths in that Crips and blood is 3-4 times what happened in 9/11. And I hate to compare tragedies, but what we as black people in urban life, the tragedy that we face every day, in particular from rap music, is outweighs any other thing that these rappers can commit themselves to. But again, we as a community need to hold these guys accountable. We need to stop allowing them to go and hoodwink and bamboozle us, you know, to do that. Okay, you know, it's kind of what that saying, you fool me once, shame on you. But if you fool me twice, shame on me. The first time when you may Get Rich or Die Trying, we can somewhat overlook that because you knew no better. But now you're 4 albums in saying the same thing. You're not even in Queens, New York no more. You know, and I mean, you don't even need to carry a gun. But you're promoting the culture and you're sustaining a lifestyle which is killing our own people, that's keeping us in a tragedy situation, keeping us buried in genocide.
You can't hold rappers responsible for what other kids think because they just telling a story just like we are, you know. But it is some of them that put positive thoughts into it. They just letting you know that you're not the only one going through this certain thing. This is their life story. Don't mean imitate it, don't mean following their footsteps, but they're just telling you their story, and that's all they get paid to do.
Some people express themselves that way. That's the only thing that rap is used for. It should be only used as an expression, not as an identity form. It's not my identity.
I think it is the way to freedom because without an education, you're going to be stuck in the hood.
Usually if they can get past the 9th or 10th grade, they're in a position where they'll want to graduate. Most people who make it to the 11th and 12th grade usually don't drop out, but the 9th and 10th graders will, and that's where the crime starts, that's where the smoking weed starts, that's where the sex starts, that's where the violence usually starts. And usually if they're in school, if they stay in school, they'll get involved in other things and want to be a part of school life, sports, different activities and homecomings, and those things will mean something to them. But when they're not in school, the only thing means something to them is things that go on the street because that's where they are. I believe education is the solution, and like we spoke on earlier with some of the morals being evaporated, it's a learned behavior, and I think even being in a school atmosphere, if you stay in school, you can learn, you know, that, hey, it's not right to do things that you didn't realize wasn't right at an early age. I don't mean as far as knowing the law, but I mean morally and ethically those things, because we're not born with all of those beliefs, and those are things that are taught to us. And if they're not taught to us, you know, I don't think it's too late if you get to the 9th grade and you don't have a lot of respect and you're not this and you're not that. If you stay in school, you'll learn some of those things and you can become a good citizen.
When you don't have the tools, when you come out of a school system and you're 17 and your reading level is at 5th or 6th grade reading level, then something's gonna happen. So what we have to do, we have to take these kids, and it's being done now. It's being done now, but it's hard to measure. You know, it's what we're doing now is gonna work 20 years from now. But what we've been doing isn't working very well. Because now what we've done, we've taken the prison system, now educates our kids, have to have a GED before he gets out of the joint. You know.
So we begin to mandate within the communities by putting the neighbor back into the hood, and that's one of the problems within urban America. You know, we've taken the neighbor out. Now it's all about hood. And the only thing I know in the hood is drugs, cracks, gangsters, thugs, prostitutes, and
in the morning, you know, you drive down any area of the city and you see kids walking across the street, 10, 11 years old, and they're supposed to be in school. I mean, at any time of the day, between 8 and 3. So we have to reinforce that education is #1 in this town.
Who I love dearly, who made multiple sacrifices, but it was hard for her to really influence me to want to go to school and be educated when she lacked the necessary education in her life. You know, she dropped out early, so really, how can you really push me in that direction? Because you're limited.
Young black youth, and my thing with them was like, don't be like your mother and father. You know, break tradition. If your mother and father didn't graduate from high school, you break tradition, you get your diploma. If you go to bed at night at 10 and you want to go to college, you got to go to bed at 9. Turn your reports in on time, prepare yourself, walk into the school system with enthusiasm. That was my message. You know, if you want to say no to drugs, you have to know how to say, and you say no, but what comes out of your mouth.
Like, life is too short, so why would you spend your life doing negative stuff when you can do positive stuff? Like going to college, you know, playing basketball, football, whatever sport you like to do. I mean, you could just go to college just to go to college, just to go out of state. That stuff is fun from what I hear and see. I want to do it, and I want my younger siblings to do it when they grow up. So that's why I became to talk to the youth, so I can, you know, guide them in the right direction.
We've lost the edge of parenting about talking to our kids. No one wants to take and talk to me.
I just think in a lot of cases that the kids are unfairly being accused of things that they can't control, and it's not really them, it's us as parents. Until we get our jobs and our goals together as far as parents and parenting these kids, they're going to keep running off the same track they're running off of. The schools is not the problem, the streets is not the problem, it's the parents that's governing over the kids that can't go between the school to the house in the streets. So until they do a better job at home, praying, talking, teaching, and educating them, you're going to keep losing them. It's not the school system, it's the parents, it's us.
Young brothers and sisters that's out there in the game, dope slanging, gang banging, set tripping. I want to tell you it's a dead end trip. We need you to be all that you can be, to be what God wants you to be. Oppression, recession, bad economic times is no excuse for selling poison and selling death and being an urban domesticated terrorist on your own people in your own community. I want you to know you're not niggas, but you are the elect and select of Almighty God. And I want you to look in the mirror each and every day. Get to know that brother, that sister that's in the mirror. and love that brother and that sister in the mirror and know that God resides in you. You own the block, clean up the block. Make the block safe for the elders, for the women, for the children, for our people. Set up a business. If you are selling dope, and I urge you to stop, do like the Kennedys did when they were bootlegging alcohol. They put it down, and they went into business, and they went into politics, and they made something of themselves. If you are selling dope, stop it, put it down. Don't buy 100 pairs of Nikes, which is made with slave labor in foreign countries. Buy a supermarket. I believe in you. I love you. I respect you. And to those of you watching this, I know that you can do it. You're going to end the violence. You're going to increase the peace, the hope, and the love. And we're going to set up our kingdom, God's kingdom, on this earth while we live. I love you, man. I love you, sister. You can do it. Peace.